Hello, and a warm welcome to you. This is the Ravenswood School District Candidate Show, and I'm your host, Hela Pela. Tonight, we'll be going in depth with Isaia Vi, who is currently running for the Ravenswood School District Council Board in East Palo Alto. So we're just going to get right into it. People want to know about you. Can you tell me a little bit about your background?
Sure. First of all, thank you for having me, Hella.
You're welcome.
And by the way, you look mighty beautiful today.
Woo, thank you.
My name is Isaia Vi, and I'm a candidate in the running for the Ravenswood City School Board. And I'm a longtime resident of East Palo Alto. And I'm very, very excited to be on board with this new venture in my life. So,
Very good. Now, tell me a little bit about where you were born. I want some background information about your family history.
mhm.
So let's start off with where you were born and your family culture.
So I was born in Tonga, and my family migrated here to the States. They were sort of part of the initial wave of Polynesians that migrated here to the States, and most of them landed here in the Bay Area. So I was born in Tonga, but my family came when I was about 1 years old, and I've been living here for most of my life. Grew up a little bit in Hawaii, lived in the South Bay and San Jose area, but then we moved here to East Palo Alto in the mid 90s.
Oh, wow. So do you have any children? Are you married? I'm sure there's a lot of young women that want to know this.
Oh my gosh, yes. So I'm not married,
Okay.
don't have any kids, but that doesn't stop my family from pushing me. As you know, in the island culture, especially being the eldest. So there's three of us, and I'm the eldest. My brother's in the middle, and he works for Lawrence Livermore Lab, and the youngest is my sister, who lives in Newark. But yeah, hopefully someday I'll find the right princess, and oh, who knows? Maybe I could use all the help with this, especially if all goes well, going on the board. I will definitely need somebody there in my corner to help me out.
Ladies, are you hearing this? So let's get back again. Let's talk about the highlights of your career.
So I started working at a very, very young age. I'm employed now with the county of San Mateo, and I've worked there for over 25 years. And it's something that I really enjoy doing. My background is in IT, and so I work for Human Services Agency and in their IT department. And so that's something that I'm always very passionate about. Is about technology. I'm into a lot of gadgets and things of that sort. So it was just a perfect fit for me going into IT.
Got it. Okay. So what about church? I read in your bio that
Mhm.
church is a very strong focus for you.
Yes, church is a very big part of my life, as is most Polynesians. But for me, because my father was the pastor, he founded the church that I'm a member of now, and so I'm what they call a PK, a
What is a
pastor's
PK?
a pastor's kid.
Kid. Oh, okay,
That's
got
right.
it.
And so I've grown up in the church my whole life, and it's become a very, very huge part of my life. And even to this day, even though my father's no longer here, he passed away in 2008. But I still I'm still very heavily involved in our church.
Got it. So let's kind of tie this back again to East Palo Alto. Give me your first impression when you first moved to East Palo Alto, what you thought of it, and what has changed from then till now.
Right. I actually moved into East Palo Alto in the mid 90s. Now, if you remember or if you recall, back in the early 90s, 92, 93 era, East Palo Alto was put on the FBI's list as the murder capital of America.
I remember. Yeah.
And so moving into East Palo Alto, a lot of my family, they were asking me, why would you want to move into East Palo Alto? For me at the time, it was because it was a lot closer to work and it was closer to our church. So it was just a perfect location for me. I had no idea I was going to spend the rest of my time there up until now.
Wow.
And so, East Palo Alto has gotten a bad rap over the years, but I really love this community. And I love it so much that I've decided to stay in the community all these years. I've had plenty of opportunities to move out, but I just felt like East Palo Alto was a really good fit for me.
Right. And, talking about that, as we all know, that East Palo Alto is a very diverse community, and it also reflects in the school district. As a candidate for the school board, how can East Palo Alto and the school district benefit from your background experience?
For me, I'm in the East Menlo Park area. There's a nonprofit called Job Train, and it used to be called OICW. I currently serve on their board of directors, and so I've been able to learn a lot of things through that experience. I also bring to the table, as far as with the Ravenswood School District, as you know, there is a huge population, a very large Latino population here in East Palo Alto. I think the numbers are about 79% Latino, 10% African American, and with the Pacific Islander community,
It's growing.
it's growing, and they're up there almost at 10%. They're about 9% right now, but this community is thriving, and it's growing more and more year after year with the Pacific Islanders. And so I think, for me, I think there would be a good fit. It would be a good fit for me being there on the board, just to be able to offer some representation for the Pacific Islander community.
Right. And what would you say would be your strengths?
Some of my strength is just being able to do outreach, working with the community. I love people. I'm engaged a lot with a lot of the Pacific Islanders, not only within church but with the community in general. And so I think I bring that type of strength to the team. I love to get out there and just meet with people one on one, meet with groups, and hopefully I'll be able to do something um, that would tend to or cater to whatever their needs are.
Now, with strengths, there also comes the other aspect of it, which would be considered the weakness. So, what would you consider would be your weaknesses? And if they are, how do you plan on improving them?
Well, probably the biggest weakness for me would be um, just being able to work with other groups outside of faith-based organizations. For me, since faith is a big part of my life, I'd really like to get a handle or connect a lot more with other community groups within East Palo Alto, East Menlo Park area. So I think that's an area that I would like to work in improving.
Okay. Now, you mentioned something about connecting, and one thing that comes into my mind is how do you plan on connecting with the other board members that are going to be also running along with you and also contributing? How do you plan on working with them? Or
So working on any board, in order to move things forward, you have to be in a collaborative spirit. And so for me, I think that's one of the big pluses for me is that I like to look at the big picture. And even if we disagree on certain issues or certain items, at the end of the day, we want to do, especially for the school board, at the end of the day, what is in the best interest of the children. And so that's what I would kind of bring to the table as far as just being able to collaborate and just having that kind of spirit and that type of attitude at the table. I think that's very, very important.
now that we've touched bases upon that, one of the other questions that comes into my mind too is your experience. What is it in terms of an educational setting?
So for me, I had started work at a very, very young age. Um, but for a lot of the educational aspects that I've been able to gain over the year was actually through on-the-job training. So with work, they were able to send me to different classes, take different courses and workshops and things of that nature. And with IT, you know that things are constantly changing over time. What's great now, 6 months later, could be obsolete.
Absolutely.
And so you have to stay on top of the game. And so for me, on the job training was a big part of my education. And just being able to put food on the table, being able to support for our family.
Great.
Yeah.
Um, One of the other questions too is, as we know in the Ravenswood School District, that there are three issues that are always constant. Number one is the low failing test scores. Number two are the charter schools, and number three, the board's leadership. So, what would your ideal solution be in improving these three key areas?
I think parent engagement is a pretty big topic, a pretty hot topic for the district, and that's actually one of the things that I really want to push for, and increase parent engagement. I think, and this is something that I've shared throughout my campaign. I believe that a good education for a child begins at home, not at school necessarily. And so I think by engaging the parents more, I think that's very, very important. That's huge as far as contributing to the child's success, educational success. A lot of times, kids they go through they go through life, and as you know, life in East Palo Alto and East Menlo Park area, it can be hard. The struggle is real in East Palo
Oh, it's
Alto.
absolutely real.
And so, what the children go through at home, I think as the district, as staff, and administration, we need to be conscious of some of those things that these kids might be going through in life.
Now, I'm going to stop you there for a minute
Sure.
because one of the questions that come into my mind that I really wanted to ask is, with this scenario of the struggle is real in East Palo Alto, realistically speaking, there are parents that work two jobs. When are they going to have the time to balance having time with their children and also working to provide food on the table? What would your solution be in terms of coming up with programs, or, I mean, kind of give us some insight on how would you tackle that?
Yes, absolutely. So with parent engagement, uh, parents, like you said, they're struggling enough as it is, working 2 to 3 jobs, barely have enough time to attend any kind of meeting at,
Or
at,
with
at, at the
help with their
school,
children with
or
their
help with the
homework
children
and,
with their homework.
yeah, engage.
Exactly. And so one area that we could improve on is just being able to help the parents, help facilitate a lot of engagement with them. For example, uh, they do have parent engagement programs within the district now, but perhaps a lot of them, because we have such a large Latino community, uh, maybe the majority of the parents that are attending these meetings are probably most likely mostly Latinos. So the issues that they face may be a little different from the issues that, let's say, the African American kids are facing, Pacific Islander kids are facing. And so I think perhaps one area we could improve on is maybe allowing them, empower the parents to 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 take the initiative and collaborate within their own groups, because only they could understand the different struggles that they go
Right.
through.
And the
you
different
know
dynamics that
Different
plays.
dynamics. Yeah, absolutely. So those are just one of the things that we could do, but we have to be really creative. We have to really dig deep down, and just see what the child is going through. And I think being able to diagnose, or being able to really understand the struggle that the children are going through, I think that goes a long way in helping providing the correct resource, the right resource for that child.
Got it. And then in terms of priorities for the school district, what would you consider would be the most important three things that you would do if you became one of the board members?
So obviously, parent engagement is one of them.
Right.
One of the other things that's really, really big for me would be implementation of Common Core standards. Um,
For those that are listening tonight, can you please define or just kind of clarify what is Common Core standards?
Correct. So Common Core standards is basically, um, at a high level, a new way of teaching, a new way of learning for children. It focuses a lot on getting the children prepped and ready for college, and also getting them ready to enter into the workforce.
Now, is this through sixth through eighth grade, or is this K through 12? When does that get implemented?
It starts at K.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we would be, um, With the old way of teaching, let me just break it down like this. For example, like in math, right? You could for most of the math exams, you have multiple choice, and so the question could be one plus one is three, right?
Right.
And little Johnny, you know, he may understand it, but he's got four choices to choose from. And if he felt like choosing a C today and C just happens to be the correct answer, he got lucky.
Right. Or eeny, meeny, miny, mo.
Eeny, meeny, meeny, miny, mo. Exactly. With Common Core, that doesn't really fly because the children have to really understand
The
the
concepts.
concept.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of critical and analytical thinking involved. Whereas the child will no longer be picking an answer, they
They'll
would
actually
have
have
to
to
write
write.
it out,
Oh,
how
okay.
they came up with the answer. Okay, so that's the correct answer. Show me how you got there. And that's going to be a challenge, And so I think for us as a district, we would have to be really, really careful and very deliberate in how we implement Common Core standards. Because if we don't, if we're not careful with that, we could be setting up our children for failure. And maybe we're hoping, we don't know the results yet, but the kids that are in this cohort right now with Common Core, if they fail, you know, I don't think it would be good for us to use our children as like a guinea pig as testing. Okay, it didn't work this time.
Let's try.
Let's try again. In the next 2 years, see if we can get it right. You know, the kids that are enrolled now, they don't have that much time. So I think it's very, very critical that we take a close look at Common Core and how it's rolled out, how it's implemented. Um, because it's very, very important to our children that they're able to fully understand what it is that they're, um, uh, as far as like math,
Right. What are they learning? So
how
that's
they're
your
learning.
first. Now, what would
Yeah.
be your second and your third?
The other thing is that I would like to incorporate a lot more technology into the school's curriculum.
And this is where your IT background really
This is
comes
where
into play
yes,
and could
exactly.
also be very instrumental.
Yes, yes. For example, I'll just take an example that just came in the news today with Apple. Apple, the company that makes the iPhones, they have just, announced this agreement to fund through computers, through devices, over 100 schools nationwide. And what they're doing is they're providing every school, every student
With a
with
tablet?
an iPad, every teacher with an iMac and an iPad. But not only are they providing these devices, and I know our district has received iPads also in the past, but Apple has taken it a step further. The, the thing with me is, okay, it's great if we get iPads, but
But
what
what are
good
you going
is
to
it?
do with it
Yeah,
is the
what are you going to
question.
do
And
with
how
it,
are you
right?
going to implement that into
Ex-
the curriculums?
right. Now, not only that, but we need access to the internet. 90% of the children come from low income families. It's hard to pay for internet and cable. So, what Apple is doing, and they're really creative with this, they're bringing to the table a whole package. They're providing the tools, but they're also providing the infrastructure to help support those tools. They're providing internet access, they're providing curriculum. They have a whole team that just focuses on education, and they work together with the teachers and the schools to help provide the correct curriculum for their whatever it is that they need. And these applications, these programs, they can be custom made to fit the need of a specific school or district. So I think we should use technology to our benefit. We're sitting right here in Silicon Valley, in the middle of where everything happens technology, and yet we're still kind of struggling here um, in East Palo Alto.
Well, I'm hoping that with as much with your IT background, we can be able to get something going with that. In terms of your third priority for the school district?
So yeah, it was technology. Um, I'd like to also provide a lot more support for staff, for the teachers, where we would be able to provide teachers with the necessary tools that they need, make sure that the curriculum that they're teaching is aligned with Common Core. And I think teachers also need to be, they need the training to be able to teach Common Core, because it's not only is it new for students, it's new for teachers as well.
So this is going to take time, it
This is
seems.
going to take time. And that's why, to me, I feel it's very, very important that we're very deliberate in how Common Core is rolled out. If the teachers aren't up to par, if they're not up to speed with Common Core standards and how it should be taught, um, that just affects the children.
That's a domino
So
effect after
it's
that.
it's a domino effect. So if the teachers don't get it, the children ain't gonna get it.
That's true.
So
All right, well, very good. I wanted to read this insert that we got through the Peninsula Press, and it talks about East Palo Alto schools exploring the most expansive upgrades in decades. I'll just read you a little bit of it, and I'd like for you to tell me what you think of
mhm.
it. It says here that the Ravenswood School District is proposing to spend more than $133 million on repairing and expanding East Palo Alto schools, and it's the major most upgrades since 1945. It also explains that the school district wants to create a new middle school, and it's going to relocate the Los Robles Dual Immersion Magnet School and build 4 new neighborhood elementary schools and expand the preschool access. So, what's your take on all this upgrade?
I am aware of this upgrade. It's called the Master Facilities Plan, and $133 million is a lot of money.
It's a lot of money.
And if they have this Master Facilities Plan, my hope is that they would have a Master Financial Plan
Yes.
to back that up. And so I think it's I'm all for providing a good building for our children to learn in, but at the end of the day, for me, we would really need to look at it. And for me, my priority would be the children's themselves. 133 million is a lot of money, and so I'm not sure where that money is going to be coming from. But I do know that the governor, Governor Brown, is really a stickler for these types of projects, where he's not so much in support of it. So if he's not really going to support something like this, it would probably have to go to the taxpayers.
Oh, I'm sure.
And so, with our community, we're again, we're struggling. We're barely making ends meet, and so it would have to really go to the community. And I hope that we do um, invite the community to a lot more of these meetings to discuss it, to see what's actually needed as far as the infrastructures. Are the schools so deplorable that we need to remodel it, or what have you? Again, I'm not against having a nice facility. I think it does contribute to a child's learning experience, but I want to see us use our finances a little wiser, and and focus more on what's directly impacting the child's learning
Now,
experience now, right? It's like saying, okay, I have this nice Ferrari, and I'm going to give it to this 16-year-old kid who doesn't have a license because it's suspended. It's good. I've given him this nice, beautiful Ferrari, but he can't go anywhere with it. You know, just as if let's say I was deciding to remodel my home, and I would remodel my house, have a nice big home. But what my main concern would be the people living in the home, their well-being. Are they healthy? Do they have what they need? So I think for me, I would focus more on the children, make sure that whatever we're spending has a direct impact
impact on them.
on the child. Um, Again, the facilities master plan it's a great idea. It's great, but we would really need to take a look at it closely to make sure that we're spending dollars wisely and funneling it to the right channel.
Got it.
Yeah.
And how do you think this is going to affect the future of Ravenswood School? I know that you touched upon, you know, the person itself, but in general.
Um, because it kind of really depends. There is a lot of growth happening within the area, and also the surrounding cities. There's a lot of growth there, people moving in. And so by, that's just the nature of the beast. A lot of these, with these new families moving in, kids are going to slowly be, our enrollments are going to be increasing. And so we want to monitor that very, very closely and make sure that, we're not, overwhelming one particular school with so many kids that, that it decreases the kids' learning experience.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And we never talked about the impact on the charter schools.
So charter schools, obviously charter schools are great. But as far as them coming into our district, there has to be a balance because when charter schools come in, I don't know if you're aware, but it does take money away from the school district. And if you look at the results that charter schools are putting out there, they're really excellent results, and you see families are flocking to these charter schools because they want a good learning experience for their kids. Um, I think if we work closely with the charter schools, learn from them, what are some of the things that they're doing well that we could sort of replicate at the
The
district.
same model?
Yeah, same model, scale it up. You know, these kids that are at the charter schools, they're from the same community.
Right.
But you look at the APIs, it's much different.
Different. Yeah, there's a
Very,
huge
very
contrast.
different.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So let's go ahead and just kind of wrap this up.
hmm
So do you see yourself representing a particular constituency or a school system?
For me, I would be representing a school system. Although I'm Pacific Islander, I would pay special attention to certain issues that will affect our community with the Pacific Islander community. But overall, my philosophy is that there's not one child that is more important than another. All of the children are very, very important. But at the same time, we have to make sure that some of these other communities, some of these other groups are not left by the wayside. So me as a board member, I would pay very, very particular attention to those types of things, that one group is not left out.
Got it. So there you have it, folks. This is Isaia V. Make sure that you go out and you vote. So, Isaiah, do you have any final words that you would like to say to our viewers tonight?
Yeah, just I've been living in the community for 20 years, and I love East Palo Alto, and I love our the diversity that's in our community, and I would definitely be an advocate for a better learning experience, not just for one demographic group, but for all children in general. So I hope that I would have your support on November 4th. Don't forget to go out and vote on Tuesday, November 4th. Thank you so much, Hela.
So thank you for watching the Ravenswood School District show. I'm your host, Hela Pela, saying good night.